Hello, everybody. I'm Jackie K. Cooper, and my entertainment rundown for today is another double feature. We're going to give you two reviews for the price of one. This one is a review of the documentary Boy State and then of the movie Endless. Boy State. This documentary is about the 2018 Boy State group in Texas. Now, in Texas, the Boy State, you have to apply to be get selected to go to Boy State. I think there's also a girls' state, but they have them individualized by gender. And you have to apply, and the American Legion is the sponsor, and they interview different young men and end up with something like 1,200 students, 17-year-old males from all across Texas, and they go to a certain location, and while they're there, they formulate a government. They have two parties that they're divided into, and then each party has to, elect a national chair and attorney generals. They do all of the offices up through governor, but there's never any running of the state. They have their campaign platforms that speak to what they want to do, and then they have the election, and then once the election is held, then Boy State is over. It's lasted for a week. And in the notes that I was reading, it said that the year before this Boy State, in 2018, the 2017 Boy State, the platform was that they wanted, that carried for the party that won, was they wanted to secede from the United States. So these things get pretty extreme one way or the other. But of course, I don't know how they do this, but the documentary focuses on maybe 4 or 5 individuals that they give more backstory on, etc. And they seem to have more footage. I guess I don't know how they know which ones to focus on, because these 4 or 5 were the ones who pretty much dominated in the whole activities for the week. But they come together, and they have to get 30 names signed to support them if they want to run for governor. Well, they've just met each other, and they've got to get these 30 names. So it's strange to see, or fascinating to see, how you look at the people and recognize the ones who have the personality, have the charisma to draw people to them and make themselves stand out in the crowd. Of course, they're the ones who you see who also are there, who don't aspire to be governor, but they want to be the power makers. They want to be involved in the individual activities as they go. And there's one guy named, I think his name was Robert, that you look at, and he is just the typical, high school hero. He's glib, he's affable, he's athletic looking. He seems to be the guy who could be most popular in the class, and people are just naturally drawn to him. And then there's another guy there who is much quieter, much more methodical, and who ends up being, these two run for the same office and then compete against each other, and you see how each one element is found. And when you're looking at this, the whole thing of Boy State, it's a microcosm for government in the United States. You just see it on this smaller level, but you see the seeds planted of these people who will probably go into politics in their lives, because they're there and they know how to play the game and they know how to do the deal, the whole thing as it is. And so you watch it, and when I was watching, I thought, oh, it's just going to be about politics and making speeches, and there is a lot of that. There's too much of that, at least for me, that it was. But you find yourself getting caught up in seeing how these individuals, they go off camera and they talk just to the camera, and they give you background as to maybe I shouldn't have said that, but I knew if I did that, I'd get the votes of this group and this, that, and the other, but I really feel differently about that issue. But you see the background that is there. And then you get the backstory, of who these people are, where they come from, why they're there, and what their ambitions are. And it plays out pretty clearly. They don't seem to, hold back as in their efforts to talk to the camera. So it's really good in that respect that you get a chance to see what it's like among the youth. This was 2 years ago, so you get an idea to see. Maybe some of you out there have been to Boys State or Girls State. One of my sons went to Boys State. I remember that. So you might find this an interesting documentary. I always say I don't like documentaries, and I'm not crazy about them, but every once in a while I watch these things, and I really enjoy them, and I like this. It was better than average. By the time I got to the end, I was invested in it. The film is rated PG-13 because there is profanity in the film. That's the whole basis for that rating. I scored it 6 out of 10. So, it's above average for me. So, there you have it. Boys State, PG-13 for profanity, gets a 6 out of 10 from me. Then we have the movie Endless. And Endless is a movie about a young man, young woman who are in love, and tragedy comes into their lives. That happens right at the start of the movie. So, and my first thought was, oh my gosh, I'm seeing a remake of Ghost. Patrick Swayze, Demi Moore. I'm sure most of you have seen that film. But if it is, it's a pale imitation of the film. Because even though it does deal with, love being so strong that it can conquer death in some respects, it just never comes together in getting you involved. I mean, if you're going to have a story about a love that can go beyond life, then you've got to have two really magnificent actors who blend together well. The two in this movie are Alexandra Shipp and Nicholas Hamilton, and she is great. She really throws herself in the part of the girl, and she is the one who survives and is so brokenhearted by the loss of her boyfriend. He just doesn't look or act the part, and they have all the scenes of professing their love for each other, how they can't live without each other, but I never bought it that much. It just never went where it was supposed to go. It never had that depth of emotion that was supposed to, pull on your heartstrings. Also in the film, Famke Janssen, who's an actress who's been around many years now, she plays the boy's mother. She's completely wasted in the part. Why they brought her in, I don't know. There is a guy who kind of helps the young man, realize, what death is like. He's got a kind of a funny attitude. He's played by Duran Horton, and he's good. He brightens up every scene that he is in. But this is, heavy material, about love that goes on for eternity, etc. And it was just the wrong actors in the wrong time. It has some, good plot elements that, make it unique in certain ways, but it's a love story. And when the couple that you're watching just don't have that chemistry between them, and I don't know what causes that chemistry. I don't know how they cast it to find that chemistry, but this just didn't get it. Nicholas Hamilton and Alexandra Shipp, she tries hard. He's not quite up to the standards that are needed to get the love story of this couple, really going. The film is rated PG-13. It's got profanity and violence. It's enjoyable. I didn't think I wasted my time, but I thought it could have been so much more than it was. So I scored it 5 out of 10, and just average. And I think if you see it, you'll agree with me. It had the potential to be a lot more, but it's not. Reach down there, hit that subscribe button. We want to tell you about all these movies, and there's a lot of them coming out. But for today, this has been Jackie K. Cooper's Entertainment Rundown with a double feature review of Boy State and Endless.